Okay, welcome into this next part of the video right now. We're going to start recording here. If we look where we left off, we cut our piece out to the right size, so it is exactly 9.5 by 6 3/4. Okay, what we're looking to do in this part of the video is finish laying all the lines out on here. And we're going to do that by the next thing we're going to do is work our way from outside to inside, putting a hem of 3/8 on here. We'll do the layout part with the marker here, and we'll also show you a shortcut that we can use when we go to do this. So first thing I want to do, if I look at my inch here, okay, line up my 0 on the edge just like we have been doing. This is our 1/2 inch, right? So these are our quarters. We have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. The next smallest line is going to be 8. So we're looking for 3/8. This is going to be 1/8, 2/8, and this is going to be 3/8 here. So I'm going to put my tick mark right at that location for a mark at 3/8. Okay, I'm going to do that on one side. I'm going to do that, rotate my part so I can get a camera view. Okay, same thing right here. Second side, make sure it looks about the same. It's easier for me to keep my ruler in the same spot, so I'm looking down at it and rotate my part. Hopefully that works for you as well. 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now, if I was going to make these marks and connect my tick line, I would do one on the top, one on the bottom here. No, I'll do one to demonstrate, okay, and connect those lines. So I'm going to rotate just so I got a good view and I can line these up. Line my ruler exactly on the edge of those two tick marks that I got, those short little marks that I used to lay this out, and drag it. So this is going to be my hem. Okay, I'm going to label it so I don't accidentally cut it off later on. Now I want to show you our other tool that we could use for doing this. So I will be right back. I'm going to pause and come back with a sheet metal tool in 1 second. Okay, I'm back. What we have here, this is called a marking gauge. And if you notice on here, this part I can slide and lock into place, turning this little set screw. And I have a ruler built in to here. And at the 0, I have a sharp tooth, which is going to be used when I set it to the right depth, which in this case is going to be my 3/8 inch for the hem. Okay. When I set it up, then I can use that to scratch a line all the way around. So I'm going to visually set this up on the ruler here at 3/8. Now I don't trust this 100%. I'm going to see if I can put a little mark on here where 3/8 is going to be. Here's 1/2, so here's 1/4. So this is going to be my 1/8 line. That's 1/8, 2/8, 3/8 is going to be this one right here. So that's where I'm going to slide this to there. Okay, kind of cut that line right in half, and I'm going to tighten down this little set screw. And I'm going to double check. I moved it a little bit. I still want to see that line a tiny bit and retighten it. Now, this is my check step. That's supposed to be at 3/8. Now, that's why we already marked one side here. Let me put my lid back on here. I'm going to double check. Okay. Now, when I hold this here and I put a little bit of a mark, okay, you'll see this tooth is going to cut in here. It's pretty close to my line. What I'm going to do is I want to see which one is actually more accurate, my marker line or my marking gauge. Okay. So here, I'll zoom in so we can see it here. If I put this on the 0, it looks like my marker line is slightly more accurate. You can adjust that a tiny bit. I got to make that and get rid of that mark a little bit, make it a tiny bit smaller. And then I reset that. All right. Now I'm thinking that should cut my marker line right in half. And right here, you notice it does. So I like that mark better. So how do we do this? Let me zoom back out here. Okay. I'm going to mark it here and tip it a tiny bit. Make sure this is tight enough. And I'm keeping my fingers behind here because the sheet metal, if I run my finger on here, I'm not going to do it. I could cut myself because that edge could have some sharp burrs on it that would slice into my finger like a paper cut. So I'm going to put it like this. I'm going to tip this a little bit so you can see that tooth is not necessarily 90 degrees straight up and down. It's tipped a little bit, and I'm going to slide it, and I want it to be able to, you can kind of see in the glare here, give a little bit of a dig in there. Okay. And I don't have to have, it doesn't have to be super dark. You're going to see that it's different than all the scratches that are in there. Now you can choose if that's dark enough, that's as much as you have to do. If you want to take and make it a little darker and you have a nice sharp marker, you can do so, because now you just line up your ruler and your marker right on there and kind of darken it. Okay. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to see, well, maybe I will just for the video purposes, but I'm going to go through now and do all my sides. Okay, there, it's a little bit darker there. And I'm going to do all my sides the same. So you'll see now I don't have any measuring to do on these other two sides. Okay, see if I can at least get this dark enough in here to show up on camera. Okay, and that's what we're looking for. So we have our hems, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way marked around. Now, the next step would be to mark these sides in at 1.5 inches from this hem. So here, if I put this at 1.5 inches and bring this over, there's my little mark. Okay, so here's where we had a few people get a little bit mixed up. If you do 1.5 inches from the edge, that's not enough. Okay. We want 1.5 inches for the side from this hem over. Now, if I measure it from the edge, we would be adding 3/8 plus 1.5 inches. So that would take me to 1 7/8. And that would give me from here to here is 1.5. And from here to here is 3/8. Okay. So in reality, from here to my edge all the way over here is 1 7/8. Now, why do we need to know this measurement is 1 7/8? Because if I'm using this gauge again, I can't run this gauge down my hemline here. I need the surface for the edge here. So I need to set my gauge now at 1 inch and 7/8. So let's see if we can find that on here. It's a little dark. Here's 2 inches. And so 1 7/8 is that bar right before 2 inches. So I'm going to set it here. See if I can get that there. I'm going to tighten down my set screw. And then I'm going to check it with my measurement here, and it should, that tooth lines up right with that mark, and I can make these marks all the way around my piece. Okay, so there's one side. I'm using the ruler to kind of give it a little bit more rigidity as I do this. I don't have a super good location here. That gave me a nice clean mark. 2. Okay, got to do it here. 3. Okay, I can see that. And 4. And all the way up. Okay, so let's see if I can darken those up. And then we're going to come back in our next video and draw the tabs. I'm just going to finish darkening these lines up real quick. And these, we're going to do one, we're going to check this to make sure that your pieces look right. So let's double check all of these. 1.5 inch side, yes. So my side here, I'm going to call this 1 1/2 inch side. And I check it, 1 1/2 inch, yes. 3/8 inch hem, perfect. And because I use my marking gauge, I know it's going to be the same here. So this also is 1 1/2. So that will make me have enough consistency that I don't accidentally mess up from one side to another. That one's dark enough. I'm going to change. I'm looking for the glare in my light. You may need to move around until you can see. And I like using the marker on here because when we put this on the other tools sometimes, even though it's very accurate, if you're in a little bit of a shadow, you can't really see it. And we're going to use our notching tool and some other things in order to make some of these cuts in a future video or in our future lesson, that you're going to need to be able to see your lines. So let me draw. This hem only needs to really be drawn here. Okay. And this hem only really needs to be drawn right here in the middle, because this is where we fold over. So we got a hem, 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 a hem, and all of our sides are in. All right, we're going to pause here. We'll come back in the next one, and we will mark out these tabs, and we'll get ready to start cutting everything out. So thanks for joining me on this one, and we look forward to seeing you in the next part.